Is it true that Jimin collapsed during training? Why did Taehyung and Jungkook suddenly disappear from their base late at night? What really happened at that remote military camp? And why is the story being quietly erased from official records? April 2025. The spring wind in South Korea is known to carry cherry blossoms and secrets. This year it carried something else: whispers. Rumors that fluttered past guard posts, barracks, and military cafeterias like ghost stories passed between soldiers after lights out. The whispers had a name: Park Jimin. And they came with another word that no one wanted to say too loudly: collapse. By the time the whispers reached the ears of those who care most, it was already past midnight. And that's when two men in uniform, one with wide, panicked eyes and the other with a jaw clenched like stone, stepped into the shadows of the military roads. They weren't supposed to be there. They weren't supposed to leave. But Jungkook and Taehyung weren't going to let regulations stop them from reaching someone they loved like family. This is the story the military didn't want told. The story fans only caught glimpses of: a blurry photo of Jungkook near a barrack gate, a soldier's deleted tweet, a guard's testimony that someone cried silently outside Camp Yangpyong that night. This is the full picture finally uncovered, and it begins not with a siren or a shout but with a gut feeling. The message that changed everything. It started with a single message sent on a secured line from an unnamed soldier who had trained alongside Jimin for nearly 3 weeks. It wasn't long, just 6 words. But those words would detonate like a bomb in Jungkook's heart. Kyung is not looking well today. It wasn't the words themselves. It was the sender. A friend, loyal, honest, not one to exaggerate. The kind of man who once stood at attention even with a sprained ankle, refusing to be excused. If he said Jimin wasn't well, he meant it. Jungkook stared at the message in his hand, sitting alone on his bunk in a base hours away from Jimin's. He didn't reply. He didn't need to. He was already moving. Elsewhere in the same base, Taehyung V to the world, Kim Taehyung to his brothers, was returning from night duties. He didn't even take off his boots before Jungkook grabbed his wrist and looked him dead in the eyes. He's not okay. Those 3 words were enough.
No explanation.
No discussion. Taehyung didn't even ask who. He already knew. And with that, the two of them quietly slipped out into the cold night. Forbidden journey. Military protocol is ironclad. Soldiers are not permitted to leave their assigned base without express orders. Doing so can lead to severe consequences, including confinement or formal reprimand. Jungkook and Taehyung knew this better than anyone. They had been model soldiers, respected, disciplined, committed. But there are moments when even the most obedient must choose between rules and love. And love in this case won. They didn't take the main roads. They couldn't. Military checkposts were active at night. Instead, they took what they later described as a crazy route. Through forested areas, quiet riverside paths, even jumping a few low fences. It was reckless, dangerous, illegal. And yet, it was the only way. One soldier later recalled seeing 2 shadows passing along the edge of the southern training perimeter. He thought it was a dream. One of them was humming, he said. It sounded like V's voice. But how could it be? The journey took nearly 5 hours. They carried no bags, no extra gear. Just the urgency in their hearts and the guilt in their chests for not having come sooner. Camp Yangpyong, the silent emergency. Jimin had been stationed at Camp Yangpyong, known for its intense physical regimens and harsh early spring conditions. The camp is infamous among recruits for its punishing obstacle courses and limited sleep schedules. But Jimin, always the fighter, had never complained. That's what made it all the more terrifying when he did. According to fellow soldiers, Jimin had begun to show signs of physical exhaustion 3 days before. He was quieter than usual. He sometimes lingered too long at the medical tent after drills. And during a march on April 2nd, he reportedly stumbled twice, something unheard of for a performer known for his perfect balance. He kept saying he was fine, one soldier admitted, but his hands were shaking. On the evening of April 3rd, after dinner and night training, Jimin stayed behind for voluntary extra drills, a perfectionist to the very end. But just as he finished his last round, he dropped to one knee and struggled to breathe. The camp's medics rushed to him. He was conscious, alert, but visibly pale and disoriented. His blood pressure had dropped and he was running a low fever. Dehydration, muscle fatigue, possibly more. They moved him to the infirmary. but no formal report was made. Perhaps to avoid media attention. Perhaps to shield the reputation of the camp. But the truth remained. Jimin, beloved by millions, was unwell and alone. Until his brothers came. "Let me see him." When Jungkook and Taehyung arrived at the outskirts of the camp, the sun was just beginning to rise, casting pale gold light on the edge of the training grounds. But the mood was anything but beautiful. A guard spotted them. He demanded identification. The moment he realized who stood in front of him, global stars, military icons, his mouth fell open. "You're not supposed to be here," he whispered. "I know," Jungkook replied. "Let me see him." The guard hesitated, but Taehyung stepped forward. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't plead. He simply said, "He's our brother." Sometimes the weight of those words, more than titles, more than rules, is enough. They were escorted to the infirmary in silence. The moment that broke them, Jimin lay on a simple bed, dressed in regulation fatigues, his face flushed but calm. His eyes were closed. A medic stood nearby, surprised by the sudden arrival. Jungkook moved first. He didn't speak. He simply walked to the side of the bed, knelt down and touched Jimin's hand. It was warm. Not hot, not cold. Just warm. And then Jungkook did something that shattered the silence. He cried. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But with the quiet heartbreak of someone who had held it in too long. His shoulders shook. His grip tightened. He pressed his forehead to Jimin's hand. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have been here sooner." Taehyung stood by the door for a moment, hands in fists. Then he sat down beside Jungkook and leaned forward, brushing Jimin's hair back gently. "You scared us, Machi," he said softly, using Jimin's nickname. "But you're still here. That's what matters." Jimin stirred. His eyes fluttered open. It took a second for the image to register. But when he saw them, his face shifted, confusion, then disbelief, then emotion. "You idiots," he murmured. And then he smiled. "Absolutely. Here is part 2 of your long-form emotional news article. This portion picks up right where we left off, unfolding with deeper emotions, unspoken bonds, unexpected consequences, and an inner look at what Jungkook and Taehyung truly faced after that night. This continues the tone, depth, and emotional resonance you requested. Approximately 2,200 more words here. Why did you come? The room was small, clinical, and smelled faintly of antiseptic. But in that moment, it became a sanctuary, one where years of brotherhood collided with the silence of military walls. Jimin, still pale but conscious, looked from one face to another. His lips were dry. His voice was little more than a whisper. But the question he asked hung in the air like smoke. "Why did you come?" Taehyung sat back, staring at the ceiling for a moment, as if trying to find the words in the cracks above. Jungkook didn't even look up. "You really have to ask?" Jungkook finally said. "You think we'd let you go through this alone?" "But protocol," Jimin began, only to be interrupted. "Screw protocol," Taehyung said with a softness that still carried weight. "You're not a rule. You're Jimin." There was a pause. Then Jimin closed his eyes, tears slipping down silently. "I didn't want you to see me like this." That hit them both hard. Taehyung reached for his hand, his voice suddenly cracking. "You've seen us at our worst. You held us when we were breaking. You don't get to hide when it's your turn." Jimin turned his face to the side, biting his lip. I didn't want to be the weak one." Jungkook stood up abruptly. His hands were shaking as he paced. "You're not weak, Hyung. You're the strongest one of all of us. You always have been. That's why it hurts so much to see you like this." Outside the infirmary, a medic stood quietly, pretending not to listen. But later, he would recount that it was the most human moment he'd ever witnessed in his service.